welcome back to the Weird and Proud Podcast.
It's Sam and
James.
James. Happy New Year, everybody. 2025 already starting out so strong. Crazy stuff in the news, crazy stuff everywhere. But you know what? We got each other. And that's kind of beautiful if you think about it. If you really think about it, you know? Stay weird.
How late is too late to say Happy New Year to
Well,
someone?
there's that clip that's going around right now. I forget where it's from.
Oh, there is another one going around from
where
that?
it's like January 3rd. Someone what show? There's a show going that's a clip that's like after January 3rd, you can't say Happy New Year anymore. It's too old. But I don't care. We haven't had a chance to say directly to you guys Happy New Year.
I would say the first 6 or 7 days. I would think
within a week.
That's within a week. If you're on January 8th saying Happy New Year to someone.
No. Yeah. Get a grip. Get a grip. But anyways, hope everyone had a great new year. And we are back. We're back with our regularly scheduled content, back on schedule. And a lot of exciting things to talk about. And I think a lot of people have given me the feedback that they like, the idea of some of like the weird stories. Like most people, sometimes they have a story that ends up taking up a great deal of our time. But for the majority, there are these kind of shorter news stories we don't have to dig super deep into.
And there's way too much going on in the world to not cover more topics.
Right. There's just too weird, of stuff going around. So it gives us plenty of content for me to kind of, set aside certain topics that normally I would come to you, when you get home from work, be like, oh my God, look what I saw on TikTok or look what I found today on YouTube or whatever. And I've kind of been making sure to set those aside so that we can go deep in them on the podcast. I think people like that kind of layout. Let me know, of course.
Well, spoiler alert, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I also like that we're covering multiple topics, but they're very much related. But they're very related.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just like topic, and then this one's not related at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll give you a little rundown of what to expect and the things. Just a little teaser so you guys know exactly what's going down today. But number one, I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet, but oh my God, I'm going to fuck it up. I'm going to fuck up how to pronounce it. Telepathy. Yes.
Bingo.
I kept saying telepathy. Telepathy.
Great job.
Telepathy Tapes, which this is a new podcast that's out, but I need to discuss. If you haven't heard about this, it is wild about people who can hear thoughts and the research on this. Then we're also going to chat about, this was something I saw, of course, on TikTok. What am I going to do if TikTok gets banned? But there was a woman talking about this new recent research that's come out that NASA scientists have detected a parallel universe next to ours, quote unquote, where time runs backwards. And I had brought this up. It's the study or the research is from like 2019, but I had saved this a little while ago. And because James and I have been so obsessed with a new show on Apple TV called Dark Matter, I think we've talked about it before on here. It's like a weird watch.
But that was a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah, but it is, we just finished season 1.
Apple TV in general.
Apple TV has been killing it.
It's just on fire right now.
Yeah, and it's a lot about parallel universes. So I've kind of like been, deep in thought on that. It's kind of been top of mind. So I figured we would talk about that a little bit. And if you need a new show, watch Dark Matter. Apparently, I meant to tell you too, season 2, it definitely is a go, but it might not be till later this year.
I figured it wouldn't. I would be shocked if it would have been this year, but that's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, we're obsessed, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Also, I did have a weird secret someone had sent in as a question / idea for James Science Corner. Obviously, James is going to give his thoughts, of course, on the parallel universe of it all. But a little something about some solar peak cycling that's happening this year. That I don't know if, how much you guys have heard about this, but we're going to go in a little bit right? You're gonna talk a little bit about it.
Whatever order we're going in. Let me know when we're transitioning.
James, if there's one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell you.
We're gonna transition the shit out of this thing.
We're gonna transition this baby up. Okay. But before we dive in, of course, we have weird secrets, which we have some great ones this week. But before we officially dive in, number one, everyone keep an eye out on my Instagram stories this week, because I think I've mentioned this to you guys, but I'm going to Blackpool, England this week. And I can't say exactly what it's for yet. Some people have figured it out. But I'm going over there really only for like 4 days, 3 or 4 days. But I've never been to England. And apparently, so I was like doing some research last night. I was like, oh, I should like look up, like, is there anything I should do while I'm there? What's the dealio with like some food recommendations and stuff? Well, the first YouTube searches that came up was, is Blackpool the worst place in the UK? And like the dire straits of Blackpool.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Really?
It's apparently like
why so?
in really rough shape. So a lot of people say like it's very much like the Coney Island of Britain. It's very much the party place, the like, kind of like a Jersey Shore atmosphere. It's obviously on the beach, on the water. And it's just seen a little bit of a downturn recently, a little bit of a decline. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, like the area that I'm staying in, there's like this northern part that's nicer. But, I posted that I'm going, and a lot of people in the UK and England were like, why in hell would you go there of all the places? And like, yeah, like just to be safe and like to not go too far from where I'm staying.
Probably a good idea.
Either way, I'll be posting about it. So will I die? Will I get stabbed? The good news is, and I like forget about this, like in England, like there are no guns. No one has guns there. So if anything, I will be stabbed probably.
Yeah.
I just have to work on my hand-to-hand combat, which I feel like is pretty strong. This is why I go to the gym, so I can fight people in the streets if I need to. But
you
like
sound
again,
so well prepared.
I honestly, like, I feel like I could take someone on, like someone really drunk. A lot of these people, are probably on something. I think I have the upper hand. I'm pretty nimble and quick.
But the ones that are targeting somebody like you are not. They are prepared to rob somebody if they need to.
Listen, bring it on. As long as I'm live on Instagram, me and my followers will get it.
That's what my concern is. You will put content over your life.
James, no, I won't. When it comes to...
There was a bomb scare in Times Square one time, and you kept trying to film stuff, and I was running the other way. I would leave.
Was there? I don't remember that.
We were by the... we were not Times Square. We were...
Rockefeller
by the
Square.
Rockefeller Square.
Bomb. It wasn't a bomb
but it could have been.
There's just a lot of police.
And they told everybody to leave the area quickly.
I said, if there's a murder, I'm here to help solve. Like, I'm literally a detective. Like,
and
put me to work.
Will leave you in the dust and let you
That's
deal
fine.
with that.
That's fine. Let me detect.
That's fine.
A detective's going to detect. And if you can't handle it,
I'll take care of the animals.
That's you go. Someone's got to live. Anyways, stay tuned. And also, if I do survive, make sure you get tickets to the show. We have some other dates. I'm planning... Again, some other dates, like, I'm just a girl. Like, I'm literally just a girl. It's just me over here, doing the thing. So more to come soon. But Worcester, Long Island, Philly. Where else are we going? Atlanta. We're coming January, February. Get your ticks. SamanthaRamsell.com/events. Make sure. Some of them are getting low. I need to get a ticket update. But with that, James, let's get into it. Oh, you know what else I forgot? I do have a fun fact at the end about poop. Okay. Let's get into the telepathy.
You're so close.
Oh my God. Telepathy. That is seriously crazy.
That's okay. I'm trying to think of words. There's always, I can't even think of one, but I know that there's a word or two out there that
you know what else that I always fuck up is, oh my God, now Arab. Whenever I say Arab, I say Arab.
Oh boy. Oh, Jesus. We apologize.
I don't know what I see and I go, oh, the A-rap?
You don't picture the word. Think about it coming out of your mouth.
But I have to like literally stop
That's
and
what you're
think.
doing with telepathy, is you're
Yeah,
looking at the word, how it's spelled.
telepathy.
What you have to do is hear yourself in your head,
Mhm.
not think
Got
about
it.
how the word looks.
Great, more voices in my head. Yeah, let me just add more voices in there.
I didn't say
Sure.
voices. Sounds. Different.
Okay, there's enough sounds in my head.
Telepathy.
Telepathy.
Perfect.
Perfect. So this is a new podcast. I had seen it on the charts, and you know me, telepathy.
That's pretty good.
It caught my attention. I said, "What? Who's talking to who?" So it comes to find out, like this also, like if you haven't heard about it, I'm sure you will hear about it. It's like number one on the charts right now. But it's a series that was like this filmmaker had made this podcast, but wanted to turn into a documentary, but just didn't have the funds. And her and the psychiatrist are doing this study and working with nonverbal autistic children who they believe have telepathic powers. And they're trying to like prove scientifically that through like all of these different series of experiments that like some of these children, they're trying to prove like a majority, if they really hone into it, have telepathic powers, or basically savants. And this whole season, they have like a season 1 is again about nonverbal autistic. Most of them are children and live at home with their family. And apparently, like this documentary filmmaker, she had heard on another podcast, which was called The Cosmos in You, where this psychiatrist talks about the connection between autism and telepathic abilities. And basically, this psychiatrist claims that the brain's electromagnetic properties make telepathy possible.
I thought of another one. Just say telephone.
Telepathy.
Telepathy. No, I can't do it.
Yeah, that made it worse. But this psychiatrist predicted that nonverbal autistic children with savant skills would be most motivated to find an alternate means of communication when they can't speak. So they kind of have like the motivation to try and find another way to speak. And that's why they're even better at it than regular.
Other senses.
Heightened other senses.
Because it's trained.
Exactly.
It's like when somebody's born blind, they say, "Oh, your hearing's better." Well, it's not necessarily proven to be better. It's just more practice,
getting better at it. Yeah.
And those areas of the body, whether it's muscles or the structures in those bodies, it's just you pay more attention to it.
Exactly. Also, extrasensory perception, or ESP, has never been scientifically proven, though studies have demonstrated that people who can quote unquote read minds of others use neurons, or have strengthened neurons that allow them to quickly grasp the intention and emotions of other people automatically.
You know who did a big study on this?
What?
Dr. Peter Venkman.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
From Ghostbusters at the very beginning, when Bill Murray.
I was like, wait, I haven't heard.
When Bill Murray has the cards at the beginning of Ghostbusters, and there's the cute girl, and then I think it's actually Patrick Dempsey is the actor, the guy, like a very, very young. I could be wrong on that. No, wait, it's a different 80s actor. Anyway, and Bill Murray, one of my all-time favorites, is electroshocking them. He's trying to check if they have ESP.
Yeah,
that's one of the great ESP studies of all time.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
In the New York Post, I heard it was written and published.
I believe Ghostbusters over the New York Post.
Well, and it's crazy. So like it's hard to prove with science, like, of course, like it needs to be repeatable and, peer reviewed, and all these scientists have kind of been like poo-pooing them because it's tough to prove, but they will literally, these nonverbal autistic children who live at home, a lot of the times it's with the mother.
Okay.
And the psychiatrist will go to their home, and the child like will be facing a blank wall, like not looking at the mother at all. And the mother will have a random cards, or, they've done it with multiple things, photos of random items words, numbers, and she'll pick a random photo, and like there's a photo of a pirate, and she'll literally look at it, and then she'll be like, okay. And then they'll say, okay, what is she looking at? And they have like a little computer where they can type out or punch to words,
That's pretty
and they'll
cool.
spell out pirate.
See, that's pretty cool.
And it like they will do it over and over. And even, like numbers, like they'll be like, she'll have a phone, like a calculator on your phone, and she'll be like, just type a random number. And she'll be like 600, nothing like 1,500,000, 600, but like 600. And be like, okay, what number was she holding? And he'll go 600. How crazy is that?
See, it is interesting what you said right away about how, of course, this is not going to be picked up by mainstream science, nor should it right
Right?
away. There
Yeah.
needs to be a lot of, this is a complicated thing to study.
Yeah.
But all the things are there for it.
Yeah.
To continue to look into this.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool that they found something.
So cool and just really fascinating. If you have not seen it or like you're interested in it, telepathy tapes. You can listen to it for free on all, the podcasts, but you got to listen to this one first.
Well, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know about it unless they're listening to us.
Exactly, but finish this podcast first, and then you can listen. But it is just fascinating. It's really interesting. So apparently, season 2, they're going to be looking for people who are non-autistic, like neurodivergent. I forget like what they call
it. Is it neurodivergent now?
I don't know what the word is, but you guys know what I mean. A non-autistic person, to see if they, some people who claim to have these, see if they can do the same sort of.
There's a lot of things that have to come with it, because if it's truly telepathy, it can't be just the mom.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, that they're trying to do, because if they just put a random person, like sometimes with the dad, even that has a little bit of a failure rate once in a while. It's like a lot of the times with the mom or, another really close family member.
Or they can, then there's the wild thing you can do is have a subcategory of telepathy where maybe telepathy is possible.
Yep.
I can think of another place where telepathy was possible.
Where?
With the time that we found aliens in the movie Independence Day in 1996.
My God, okay.
Remember, that's how the aliens talked, is because they pulled the sign. When the alien got loose and things. Yeah, it's another great study about telepathy. But what I'm saying is, maybe it isn't that telepathy is something where every human can do it to every human yet. But what if the bond can get strong enough between two human minds?
Yep.
It just takes a heck of a lot more time, energy, effort, and both of them have to
be
basically
like
open to it and remove the other types of communication.
Yeah.
Because the moms are more naturally empathetic than dads. Not saying they all are, right?
Yep.
But
and a lot of the times, like the mom is the one spending most of the time. Like the dad, has been going to work. The mom's with the child all the all day. So it's just interesting.
You do also then have to look at, like, you and I spend a heck of a lot of time together, and there's little subconscious ways we probably communicate through facial expressions and other things that can be considered, right? There's other factors you have to consider in something like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why too, they try and do it so it's like they're in the same room, but they're not looking at each other.
Blind study.
It's just, but it is tricky. It is.
People that and then there's probably some of the naysayers can say things like, well, children, especially that do have autism, tend to memorize things in order better. Because, and not all of them, but it is something that happens because that's what they have to focus on, right? They're not social, but putting things in order and having patterns and things are, because they get something in their mind and they repeat it over and over and over and over and over again, because that's part of what, from my understanding, that's part of what comes with some of that. So they would be able to memorize order of things or what might happen.
But the idea is like the psychiatrist is picking the cards. Like it's not like the mom's being like, oh, let me just think of a crazy number.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of the naysayers say, is that like the moms are training,
I don't think that they're purposely training.
Why would no.
Like, I'm sure a few here and there might, but no, on the overall, no, I don't think so. And the people conducting the study wouldn't be this big if the people conducting it weren't reputable enough to like have
Totally.
some actual control to this study
Right.
where
Right.
it is randomized
Yeah.
and a blind study in some way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's really interesting. So let me know what you guys think if you've listened to it. Love to know what you guys thought. I haven't listened to the whole thing. I'm on like episode 5 or something. So but it's just a fascinating and just like a reminder, like there is like a little magic, you know? Like who knows? Who knows what we could be doing soon, you know, years from now, talking to each other through our minds, controlling. I always like that was like my dream, like watching Matilda. You remember the movie Matilda?
I have not seen Matilda.
What?
I can picture the actress in it.
Holy shit, we're
And
watching
Robin Williams
this.
is in it, correct?
No.
Robin Williams isn't in
Danny
Matilda?
DeVito.
Danny DeVito's in
Yeah,
Matilda.
yeah, it's the dad, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen it in forever, James. It's amazing.
I can picture the little girl. She was very popular at the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And that movie was huge. But like that was like she can move things with her mind and everything. And
Yeah, we should watch
I was
that.
like, wow, that's the dream. And I always thought like if I concentrated hard enough, I could like move things with my mind. Maybe I can. Who knows? Don't know. Anyways, all right, we're transitioning, James. Is that okay if we transition?
I'm ready for whatever you're throwing
Because
at me.
now, again, if you watch Dark Matter, this also makes so much sense to you and why we're obsessed with this. And this is very similar to basically like the plot of Dark Matter is finding these alternate and the idea that I mean an infinite amount of universes exist all around us all at the same time. So when I saw this headline, I was like, what? Dark matter is real. But so mentioned earlier, NASA scientists have said, like, this is the headline of the article. NASA scientists have detected a parallel universe next to ours where time runs backwards. And it goes against really any physics, like modern physics, that we've researched previously. And it's in this really weird part of Antarctica that they're also doing a lot of research, on this, in this part of the world. And it goes along with this theory, a theory that during the Big Bang, that there were really 2 universes that were created. So it was our universe, and then there's another universe out there where everything is reversed. And there were, based on some of this research again that was done in 2019, and it was this research paper that came from ANITA, which stands for the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. So it's this like balloon-based experiment that's going on in Antarctica that is looking for, I mean, you could probably tell me more than, I mean, like basically like through the ice from what I understand, like they're looking a lot into the ice, into the core of the earth and what's going out from the earth. And like the dumbest down explanation that made sense to me. But we're gonna say something.
I was gonna let you finish and then you go ahead.
Okay. So basically they, the NITA, this huge antenna, found that there were these, again, this is like very like snotty language that I don't completely understand, and maybe you can dumb it down, James. But there were cosmic rays, which are like high energy charged particles arriving from outside of the Earth's atmosphere, and they were going in reverse. They were going the opposite direction. So it said that they found these high energy particles, very extreme high energy neutrons coming up from the Earth's surface and they also didn't know where they were coming from. So they said it seemed impossible. And they said that explaining this would require existence of some sort of like higher energy technology that we just don't have yet. But it's like positive is negative, negative is positive in this. That's kind of like the scientific explanation. And I don't really know what any of that means, other than it sounds like there's energy going backwards.
Should have dove into that one a little bit more. I don't think we need to dumb it down. I don't believe in dumbing things down. It's just trying to
layman
explain something that
terms.
some people might not be as interested in.
Yeah.
So let's look at what you just said and break it down, and we'll break it down in reverse. The thing you just said is that
Have you heard of the Anita, by the way? You have.
So there is, I'll get to that part at the end, because again, I'm explaining this backwards.
Yeah.
We'll start with the positives and negatives,
Yeah.
right? And I'm wondering if it doesn't sound like they're talking about a magnetic field, but you said neutrinos, right?
Yeah. Do you
Okay.
know neutrinos?
Yes.
I was like, I have no idea what that is.
So remember, when we learn in like grade school what a cell is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Neutrons have a neutral charge.
Yeah, right.
This is all really old science, and there's a way better way to explain it. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to go through it this way, right? A proton is a positive charge.
Yeah,
An
neutron's
electron
negative.
is in the outside as a negative charge. A neutron is
neutron's
neutral.
Right. Yes,
all
right. Oh my God, physics.
So what you have is you have the atom exist. It's so funny because we're going to talk about this with dark energy as well when we get to that section. It's foreshadowing. When you look at that, there is more space in an atom than there is matter that exists. Let's define matter, or the protons, electrons, neutrons, right?
Yeah.
They're moving in a different way, right? So they interact with our world, this world, differently.
Yeah, right, of course.
Than one. So that's what I think you're getting at about it moving backwards.
Yeah. Right, like, and maybe the electron's positive.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
When you look at how the universe, like a potential, if the Big Bang happened, I think one way I heard it, and again, this is not the perfect way to describe it, and I hate to bring up guns, but I'm going to. When you shoot a gun, a gun is a wonderful example of physics. When you shoot a gun, the bullet propels forward.
Yeah.
But the gun kicks backward super hard.
Yeah, we're right. Yeah.
So if there were a center point where something happened, the Big Bang, right? Now, there's so many different ways that could have happened. When you're saying Big Bang, all that you're saying is energy expansion. Like energy goes out.
Yeah.
Energy has to go the other direction.
Right.
And from what we know about what we can see visibly in our universe, one, they found out that they think it's much older than 13.8 billion years than what they originally predicted.
Which is crazy.
But there's also a whole part that they can't see.
Yeah.
And again, back to the kick and the shotgun, the forces are equal.
Right.
The bullet going forward and the shotgun kick coming back. They're felt differently because the shotgun or the gun is meant to absorb some of that so that it doesn't tear your shoulder off or whatever you're shooting, right? It absorbs the energy differently.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is how, again, picture the neutrino being the bullet. The way that the energy goes, it's just the difference between the energy of a bullet and the energy of the gun.
Kickback.
They're all the same. The bullet sitting in the gun without pulling the trigger is just potential energy. It's sitting there. They're both doing nothing.
Yeah.
But then when you pull the trigger and combustion or the explosion happens,
the Big Bang,
the Big Bang, energy goes both directions.
Yeah.
They're in different forms.
Yep.
And they're absorbed differently.
Yeah.
That's what, in a very horrible way of explaining it without looking at it.
That's very
I think that's a good way to try to explain it.
Because I was like, that's the thing, is when it gets into some of these articles where I'm like, okay, it gets to the point where I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Then there's a thought experiment connected to it. Now, when we get into the alternate universes, we have to think about that. The gun and the bullet also have sound. There's all these other unseeable things that come with it, right?
Yep.
That's what you're talking about. Once that explosion happens, that's what you're talking about with now an alternate universe.
Yeah.
There's things there that aren't just the force that happened.
Yeah.
There's other things like sound, right? When the bullet lands, there's an effect. Your body absorbing it, your body is affected by that. The unseen forces in your body might be an example of that unseen universe that they think exists in Antarctica, or the sound, right?
Yep.
There are other things from this one Big Bang.
Yeah.
Again, that's probably why I picked gun.
Yeah.
There's one Big Bang. All these other things are created,
affected.
but then there's a whole bunch of them created all at the same time for a moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But all those other universes that exist, you can't see anymore. You know the sound's there. You can still hear it.
Yeah.
In your mind.
Yeah.
But it's off. Now that energy is off somewhere else doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
So once that Big Bang happened, it created a bunch of stuff, and we could only see the stuff that's around us. All the other parts that, like, in, let's say that the time gravity fabric got quote unquote ripped, right? Like now we think about a black hole.
Yeah.
How many of those got created when that much energy happened is the question.
Dun, dun, dun. I just want to know if there's another Sam out there, living backwards. She's a baby. Maybe she's old. Maybe there's a million Sams out there.
Now the question is, would it be a Sam or a James? Really? If in the other universe, what if everything is reversed? What if it's the electron, proton, neutron as we know it?
What would that look like? It's like sort of they like walking backwards and aging backwards.
Like Benjamin Button.
Right.
It's actually probably something we can't even comprehend.
That's why I'm like, would we even know? Like, do we even know? Can we even see it? Can we even look at it? It's crazy. That's so weird to think about.
When we talk about dark matter, we're going to talk about that.
Well, I was going to say, talking about dark matter, the show.
Is that where are we transitioning after
Well,
this?
I was just going to say, in dark matter, the show, like he talks about, like there's all these millions of universes happening right now. Like we just can't see them.
Infinite universe theory.
Yeah, right? This infinite, like he's like, we're walking around with like millions of versions of us.
And it started with something we've talked about here, Schrodinger's cat. That's how they start the show. That's why I remember we brought this up before.
Yeah.
So now let's look at that example.
So now you go into James Science Corner of what you wanted to say about this.
So if that's what we're looking at from...
It really is like a mind fuck to talk about. And I think too, it's why it's like our minds, like we can't even.
You have to not
think about it.
You have to not think of the bullet and the gun. You have to look at what those things represent. So I'm trying to explain it that way.
No,
I probably should have rehearsed at the end of that one. I know that got a little all over the place.
No, James.
But I did want to, why I just said don't focus on the words is that's how I was going to kick this off.
Okay.
So we said the show dark matter, but let's have an understanding of why this dark matter and dark energy that we're discovering. We heard the term antimatter. Everyone's heard that one, right? We're in that realm with the idea of dark matter and dark energy.
Yeah, what is dark energy?
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about.
What is dark matter?
Let's be very simple on the explanation so that your brain...
make something that we can like actually digest.
It's super simple.
Okay.
And you just said it with all your brilliance.
I did. I'm so brilliant.
We can't see it.
Right.
Like the gun and the sound, I'm going to tie that in.
Mm-hmm.
We can see the result of dark matter and dark energy doing stuff.
Right. Okay.
So again, what we're trying to explain and why it's hard to comprehend is because it's stuff that we don't even get to see or feel or hear, which is all that we're used to.
Yeah.
Let's do a little quick quiz. And
quiz.
Let me get my
quiz me.
Let me make sure I get my numbers right here. So the known universe, what we know, normal matter, which makes up everything from visible light to everything that we can detect, ultraviolet, infrared light, X-rays, protons, neutrons, electrons, all those things we just talked about that make us up. Like that's what we are.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of protons, neutrons, and electrons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Solid, liquid, gas, all of that, right? What percent of the universe do you think makes up all that stuff we can see? All the planets and all the other galaxies, every star, everything in the universe. What percent
is
of the
made up
universe,
of matter?
Yeah, is made up of matter.
Because you're asking this question, I'm going to think it's going to be very low, like 2%.
You're good. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it's 5%.
Slay.
And now now everybody should be asking, well, how do we know it's 5% if we can't see the other stuff? We can see the results of the other stuff. So let's go to dark matter and dark energy. We can't see it.
We can see the results of their seances. Because it's dark matter, dark energy. I think of like seances.
I know. That's why I said don't focus on the dark. You're doing exactly what I described not to do. It's not dark like negative, like bad.
ghosts.
No, it's dark like, oh, the lights are off. I can't see
Yeah,
it.
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
Please do.
I'm
I brought
just
up Dr. Peter
fucking-
Venkman in yours, so
Yeah, no, I know.
which was hilarious, by the way. I was laughing at myself.
Everyone was laughing
I was
so hard.
dying when I thought of that. I'm
everyone
like, oh my
laughed.
God, I get to bring this up.
So hard inside. Okay.
Dark matter does take up space and hold mass, but it doesn't reflect, absorb, or radiate light. Again, like why something is pink is because it's reflecting back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's absorbing all of the other light except for pink.
Yeah, we've gone over this before too when we were talking
We've
about
talked
the
about
lights.
X-rays. I'm glad. That's why I'm so glad. The Science Corner, we've kind of set the foundation for all this.
Legit. This is an educational podcast. Okay.
But it's fun. This is I kind of wanted to do this to go through these terms, because if people are interested in this sort of thing, they should have an understanding of dark matter and dark energy, at least a little bit, because that stuff is going to be tied into all this, right?
Yeah.
So there's scientists have measured that dark matter only makes up about 27% of the cosmos.
Okay.
And they're not sure what it is. But dark matter is the stuff that's actually super important for everything that we kind of see, right?
I thought we can't see dark matter.
We can't see, but we can see the results of it.
Okay.
Like hearing.
So what's the results?
Hearing the gun, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
What are the results of the dark matter?
So,
what is the dark matter up to?
Dark matter is, hold on.
What are the results?
So dark matter is probably like gravity, right?
It's not bad. We love gravity.
Gravity pretty much controls a big part of the universe, right? So what we're talking about with dark matter are things that we can't see but still have an effect on the universe.
Yeah, right. So what are the
how
effects?
We can see that happening is just planets rotating around, even planets in far off solar systems, right?
Okay.
Rotating around a star or their sun. We have a sun, which is just a star.
That's dark energy, is rotation.
Dark energy is the gravity that's pulling all this stuff and moving it around, right? That's an unseen force. We can't see gravity, but it's part of dark matter.
Okay.
Right? Dark energy may roughly compose about 68% of the universe, but scientists know even less about that. Dark energy explains the rapid expansion of the universe.
Okay.
Dark matter helps explain what's happening in the universe, like planets moving around.
So dark matter and dark energy are two different things.
Different things. There's more dark energy. Dark energy is, again, the energy of the bullet. That bullet is still going, right?
Yeah.
Einstein's theory that still has been proven to be correct. Or
energy can make you crazy history.
That's the law of thermodynamics. Different.
What's this?
But that's okay.
E equals mc squared.
Yeah, there you go. Energy equals mass times acceleration.
Fuck yeah, I just got that out.
That is part of this in a way, because what they are looking at is energy, and how is, with dark energy, how is the universe expanding? And now we ask. So back to anything in science, it has to be measurable. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're looking
how are they
at
measuring the universe?
There you go. You've got the question.
Go, James. No, you.
Newton got hit in the head with the apple, so we knew gravity was 9.8 meters per second squared. Sure. That's the force. I mean, it's just me being fancy, but that's that's applied.
Name things he knows.
That's seeing how gravity works.
Got it.
Then applying gravity to how it works through the whole universe. An example of that is why a black hole is a black hole, because light can't escape it because of the strength of gravity in a black hole. Okay. So there are some examples of how we know what dark matter is and does.
Okay.
Right? That's dark matter. So again, you asked, how do we know what this stuff is since we can't see it? We can see the things that happen because of it.
You've said that, yes.
We can see galaxies rotating around each other. Our galaxy is going to probably crash into another galaxy in hundreds of millions of years, billions of years.
Not my problem.
Not our problem. That's future James' problem. All right.
Yeah.
So again, those are the things that we see. With dark energy, which is important to what you're asking about.
What was I asking?
The Big Bang Theory talking about, right?
Okay.
Dark energy is how we see the universe expanding, or galaxies getting farther and farther and farther away from each other.
Okay.
And in the outskirts of the universe, the parts that are the farthest away, which is where there is no edge of the universe if it's just constantly moving.
Of course.
We just
Sure.
there's no end to it, but we're seeing the universe itself expand.
Oh, I thought, were you going to say something about how they're measuring all this? Did you answer that?
That's the again. So the black hole was an example of how you measure dark matter.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I don't know. It's over my head, but maybe other people get it.
It's what.
Listen, all I
Let's
need
use
to
an
know.
example of how we know other planets exist. We can't see them. We don't have a telescope powerful enough to see galaxies thousands and thousands of light years away, but we can see the stars. But we
Okay.
can't see the star. We see the light. And if
Right.
something's 1,000 light years away, it took that light 1,000 years to get to us.
Right.
But what they see is they observe this light and they see these little shadows coming in front of it.
Mhm.
So they just can kind of estimate that that's a planet and they know what it is. The idea of that planet going around is part of the dark matter. When we see the edge of the universe, thinking it could be 13.8 billion years, but they also know that parts of that are moving further away and expanding, that's seeing dark energy at work.
Okay.
They can see that those galaxies, everything's moving in a way so it's not stagnant. It's not sitting in a box. It's if this room just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
That's how they're observing dark energy. This was a
Okay.
long science corner, but
That was a very long science corner. But I think it was effective.
people can look it up. Dark matter, dark energy.
Yeah, look it up, you guys. I'm sure you guys are gonna go crazy in the Google searches after that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna blow up right now.
Yeah, they're into it. I can feel it. I can feel your energy. I can feel your dark energy.
But some of that's going to be important for future science corners and future
I'm
things
sure.
in the podcast.
You never know when you're gonna need. Well, if someone's like says like, hey, like that person's bringing dark energy into this room, you can say you don't even know shit about.
You don't
dark
know
energy.
shit about dark energy. That person
Like-
isn't. It's already here, and it's expanding the entire universe.
Yeah, that's what you guys can do. Are you guys mind blown? I mean, it's all very interesting stuff. It's crazy. Like it does. Like again, we've also talked about the idea of like being in awe of things like this. Like these types of discussions are like that is so crazy. Like think in terms of billions of years old, of billions of light years away, of these ever expanding. These things are just so much bigger than us that are constantly happening that we're just like. Like, oh my God, they didn't like my
We've already
Instagram.
covered 2 out of the 3 biggest mysteries that man has liked to think about for the longest time. Depths of the ocean, depths of space, depths of the human mind. We already covered mind and space today.
Well, look at us, you guys. Just a couple of, what are they
Weird
called?
and proud.
Intellectuals.
Smart and proud.
Yeah. Something and proud. Weird and something.
We'll have to make
you
sure that we cover weirder topics after this one. That one went.
Yeah, that went deep. Hopefully you're still here.
That one went a little dark.
That one went,
but not for the reasons you think it went.
But I feel like we all took something away, and that is, I don't remember shit from physics. I don't remember anything from high school. Okay, that was a lot of science. I'm gonna give you one quick fun fact that I actually really do think that everyone should know. This is actually like information you can take and like use in your everyday life.
Is this about poop?
Yes.
Great.
Pooping is good for your brain.
I agree.
There are new studies and new research out there that if you use the toilet before any mental tests or physical tests, it will improve your performance. And first there was like this small study that was done of like 13 participants, a really small group, but they were doing like these mental tests, like these quick quizzes about like colors and basic math. And they gave one group 1 week. They didn't let them poop beforehand. The second week, they let them take the test an hour after they pooped. And the third time, they gave them a mild laxative. And then an hour later, had them take the test. And in the laxative test, were to make sure they all took a real good poop, 100% of them did better.
Really?
Yeah. And in the ones that just like were like, okay, go to the bathroom, if you do a little poopy, 10 out of 13 of them did better.
Sounds
So,
significant to me.
and they also did a study on cyclers, and they, did a study on, a group, excuse me, of people, of cyclers that went to the bathroom right before they went on a race, and then a group of people who they, said to hold it, if they could before going on a race.
You know what? We should have done this before the science corner and had everybody poop.
See if they can understand that information
just
better.
To see, just because I went down a crazy black hole and was trying to explain it, and I think could have been more clear. Maybe we should have had him poop first.
Yep. Should have told you to take a poop break. But they did find that there's a significant increase in oxygen consumption and, below the belly button, which helped them in race and spend more energy on the exercise
versus holding it
versus, their body like focusing on pooping.
And that's interesting.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's actually very interesting.
If you're going to...
That should have been the science corner right there.
Well, listen, I'm doing it. I'm doing the science corner for the dummies. Yours was
no,
for
that one,
people who went to
but
have
that's
a PhD.
Useful.
Well, I know that's what that's what we do here, James. But research recommend pooping 60 to 90 minutes before a big event if you want to be better, faster, and have smarter decision making. And that's what they also, by the way, say. That's why you get like a gut feeling. Like they're calling for, that if you, have a better gut feeling when your gut isn't, busy focusing on taking a dump.
That makes so much sense.
Right? Thought that was interesting. Saw that and I was like, gotta share with the kids. All right. That is enough science and whatever else we've been friggin' talking about. Let's hear from you guys. What are you guys up to? We want to hear what you guys have been doing. And it's that time for weird secrets. Yeah, that's right. It's time for weird secrets, where you guys send in your weirdest secrets, weird things you've done, weird, we always throw out some prompts, weird travel, of course, with the holiday, weird stuff over New Year's, over the holiday season. So before we get into it, if you want to send in a weird secret, you can call us at
SpeakPipe.
That's speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. Again, speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. Always anonymous, of course. You can leave up to 1 minute, 30 seconds. All right. Where do we start? Okay. This one's a good one. Let's start out here. This is a New Year's Eve story and weird new travel trip. So without further ado, you ready, James?
Prepared.
Here we go.
All right, you guys have asked for weird New Year's Eve stories and weird travel stories in the past, so here it is combined. Last year, my fiance, my then boyfriend, and I were supposed to be going to Amsterdam for a New Year's Eve trip, and we get to the airport and through security and everything, and we get to the gate, and the guy's like, yeah, you're not going to Amsterdam. Your passport expires in 60 days, and you need a 90-day buffer in order to go to Amsterdam. So I was like, okay, what do we do? I'm thinking there's like going to be a little man in the corner that's going to give me a passport. And he's like, well, you guys can technically go to Ireland, England, or Scotland. And so we said, F it, and decided to go to Ireland. We had to decide within like 2 minutes. And it cost us an extra $1,400 along with all of the cancellations for the Amsterdam Airbnbs, because we canceled the day of and the day before. And so we hopped on a plane to Ireland with absolutely no plan, no accommodations, not even the right chargers. And we get there, and for New Year's Eve. We end up being in Dublin and Galway, and we had the best effing time. We got engaged at 2:30 in the morning on New Year's Day after raving all night in Dublin. And we had the best time. And to top it off, when he went to go propose, the camera died on his phone. So that was another thing that happened, and everything that could have went wrong, but we ended up doing last minute engagement photos there as well. And it was just so freaking cool and the best trip ever. And, we made lemonade out of lemons. So
that's a great story.
That's a phenomenal, what a happy story to start the year.
I know. I was like, that's
great,
super cute. And I always there was a couple of movies, or like even like maybe TV shows, like after this idea of like, a couple, like, let's go to the airport and like whatever the next flight leaving is, like that's the flight we're
I
gonna
love that
take.
idea.
Well, like I love the idea. But then like if you think about it, like what if they're just like, okay, like next flight is Alaska. Like like for me, for trips, like I love to do hours of research.
Oh yeah, you do. And you're great at it. That's part of the advantage.
I know,
You are phenomenal
literally,
at it.
I Google Maps the streets, so I know what streets we're walking down. I know what the hotel looks like. I know what the restaurants I want to go.
I forget where we're going half the time.
Yeah, James doesn't even know where we're going. So that would be the one thing. But I do like love that idea of just being like surprised on like where you go and like just going somewhere completely random. Not that Ireland's completely random, but
I'm gonna give the first thing that's in my head. Did she know she was going to get proposed to?
I know, and I wonder if like that threw
Because
off.
how do you feel as the guy?
I
Had
know,
the
like,
ring.
if he
You've
had
been
an
hiding it for a
idea-
while. He's
Right.
smuggling the ring through the airport,
Mhm.
and he probably had an idea of where he was going to do and what he was going to do and how he was going to do it.
Yep.
At least a vague idea. But
Yep.
I mean, imagine the stress level he has with all of it.
Yeah. No. I know. I bet that would, especially if he had plans solidified of like where he wanted to do it, if there was something special about Amsterdam.
But that's part of what's going to make them probably a great couple is they're both kind of go with the flow. Look, we know this is bad, but let's make the best of it.
Yeah.
Like that alone is great. But you and I both also know how awesome Ireland is, so I can see.
I know. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, if they were like, you're going to Afghanistan, not that Afghanistan, I'm sure it's beautiful, but it's like when you're going to another, Ireland was amazing. That was one of my favorite trips we've ever been on, and I can't wait to go back. We got to go back. Ireland,
If
my
the
Ireland
Packers are
people
playing
out
there
there.
next year.
Oh my God. Yeah, you guys. James says
It's very much a rumor at this point.
there's a rumor that the Packers might play in Ireland. If that does happen next year,
world
100%.
records amount of beer will be drank if you bring Wisconsin people to Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be a lot of beer.
We're definitely going.
We're definitely going. Okay. So I'm gonna play this secret that was sent. It's also kind of like a science corner-esque question, but we're not gonna get too in the weeds on this.
We'll keep it short.
We'll keep it short. All right, here we go.
Hey, Sam and James. Love your podcast. I've been following and listening to you guys for quite some time now. Love it. And this is actually for James. So I was just wondering if you can go into what I've been hearing on the news. The solar peak cycle is 11-year peak cycle will be in 2025. So I just wanted to see what that actually entails. I just know that we're going to see a lot more aurora sightings, and so I just wanted to see if he will love to get into that in his science corner. Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys. Love you so much, and I can't wait to see if James talks about it. All right, bye.
And it's funny. I had never heard about this exactly, a solar peak, that this year is supposed to be a solar peak. But I have seen more and more like people talking that there's going to be more northern lights or more of the aurora borealis sightings. And I guess much like the dark energy, it's an effect of what's going on, the solar peak cycle.
We're getting into magnetism is what we're getting into.
Okay. Keep it, so that people don't,
Let's start with the idea of why they know that this is happening, right? It has to do
it's
with,
always a bad time when you go, let's start at the beginning.
let's start with, I was going to go back to when they first started seeing these things in 1600 and Galileo identified what a sunspot was. So there's these things called sunspots. And what it is that there's a pattern of sunspots that they look at to know when the sun is going through an energy cycle. Now the sun we revolve around the sun.
Yeah.
But the sun does move. It actually flips upside down. So in other words,
crazy, son. You're so crazy up there.
And it does change the energy levels coming from the sun, right?
Got it.
And I thought, you know what? I can't imagine the level of conspiracy theories that can come or bad science that will come from this idea. So I made sure to look up a few things. One, does it affect the temperature of the earth because the sun will be going through peak energy? No, it does affect the temperature of the earth by about 0.1 degree Celsius.
Whoa.
So very minimal. Now they've been tracking this for 70 years, 100 years.
And it's an 11-year cycle.
It's about every 11 years that something like this happens. It's not exact what it does, but they knew this was coming last they knew this was coming this year. I think last September is what I saw when they defined it, that like starting in January. Now, also, they're not going to know when the peak month is for months to years after it happens. Because remember, it takes 8 minutes for the light to even get to the sun, and the effects of all the other stuff can take longer to get here. So they're going to have to do some analysis, gather data, and we might not know when the peak flares are, right?
Yeah.
There can be disruptions in certain types of radio waves and other things, but it's not like your cell phones shut down because
it's
the
like the world's ending. But it does give you more of the northern lights. So.
That is definitely one of the things that we see more of, is these magnetic flares from the sun.
Yeah.
And the auras, I think what she's talking about, the auras are these sunspots,
yeah,
or
she
these
said aura
things that come out,
borealis, which is
which is
northern lights,
and that's why
a lot of people have seen in the news.
So many of them. Yeah.
Right. Which you have, like, a lot of people have seen them, like, people are posting,
in places that you normally don't get to see.
Never, like Maine, even like in Connecticut recently, there were northern lights being seen. I was like, what in the fuck are they, Connecticut?
NASA also, this one's going to be cool from a science data gathering standpoint, because NASA does have a craft out there, and I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the closest any man-made object has ever been to the sun, and it survived its first pass. So they're gathering so much data about what's going on during this particular cycle. So yeah, I hope that those are some facts about what we're going through that's interesting.
That is very interesting. I don't think I've ever really like seen like a really strong northern lights. Like one time in Maine when I was really little, like you could see a little bit of, like, very, very vaguely. But I would love to, and even I've been to Iceland once, but the northern lights like weren't.
It wasn't in season.
It wasn't in season or whatever. But I would. That's on the bucket list. And what's also on the bucket list is Alaska.
Yeah.
And Alaska really also has.
Alaska's pretty far north.
Yeah, has an amazing Northern Lights season too.
Yeah.
So maybe we just time that up with our Alaska trip. I would love to go to Alaska. Any Alaskans out there? I want to go. Let us come over. But great question. Again, if you guys have any like these questions or like,
next time we'll wrap that question and make it the Science Corner. So I know
we've just been chatting a lot. Yeah, we've just been chatting. Okay, let's do. Okay, this also gird your loins. It's a little. This made me gag a little bit, but it's all in good fun. Here we go.
Hey, so I just heard Sam talk about how she had eaten the urinal cake or whatever. I don't even know what that's called. But it reminded me of when, I think it was like 4 or 5, I lived in this neighborhood and we had a really mean neighbor. He was a little boy, I think maybe in his teens or whatnot. But I would always, I was a curious little kid. I would always stare at him through the fence. And those little knots, those holes in the fence. And one day he was eating chips and I was watching him, and he handed me a chip through the hole in the fence, and it looked like there was guacamole on it. That's what I thought it was. Well, come to find out, his dog had diarrhea that day, and I ate it. And to this day, I have that taste. If I think about it, it's so gross. My mom has OCD, and so she was a germaphobe. So after it happened, she threw me in the bath and was washing my mouth out with soap because of all the germs. So, I mean, a urinal cake probably has me beat, but I just thought I'd share. Bye.
I don't know what's worse, a urinal cake or dog poop, dog diarrhea.
That's horrible.
That's so horrible. I hope that boy was punished.
I hope.
Or at least you told the parents, that's so
The fact
gross.
that she can talk about it is pretty good.
I know. And I feel again, every person, I'm sure to some degree, has had some disgusting thing you've had to eat. And it's the same thing. It's funny you say that. I can still taste too, the urinal cake in my mouth.
Oh, really?
I can still think of the taste because it stung. It also
Well, those things it's just chemicals.
Yeah.
It's
it's
biting into
soap.
a perfume.
Yeah, you're right. It was I remember
it'd be stronger. The urinal cake would be stronger than soap in your mouth.
Yeah.
The perfumes,
really, really strong. I remember it was yeah, like just
But the dog
dog
poop,
shit.
oh,
That is
like thinking it's guacamole.
I know. Oh my god, I can't even like thinking about it. Literally,
Like
seriously makes
you
me
did
gag.
it out of curiosity. She got it thinking it was one thing,
I
right?
know.
Instead, the show on Netflix, is it cake? It's like hers is it poop?
Oh my god, so disgusting. I feel so bad for you.
And the fact that you can still like, and you said you could with the urinal cake, but the fact she can still taste it too.
I know. I don't even want to. I can't even imagine. And it's also, it was funny when she was thinking about that too. There's also one other thing. One time when I was actually funny at my dad's house, and like, when he was first divorced from my mom and he was horrible at keeping groceries, which he still is. Like, he keeps stuff in there that's like years expired.
Good for him.
And he had milk, and I didn't realize it was like 4 months expired. And I went to take a chug of it. Oh my god.
I can't imagine.
Vomited immediately.
Oh yeah.
And I can also still like remember and think about that taste and like where I was when that happened.
I thought of mine. It took me a while, but I grew up northern Wisconsin. My dad, my uncles, all my friends chewed tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
And I never could.
Yeah.
I tried it. Like all of them, I thought it was cool, but I'd put tobacco in. Your dad and I talked about this.
Yeah.
Both him, like I can smoke a whole cigar and not get sick.
Yeah.
But if I put tobacco in my lip, I turn green and it's awful. Well, and this wasn't even a beer drinking situation, which is what usually happens. You get drunk and you might swig a can. All my buddies are spitting in cans. And I remember I was drinking pop.
Oh my god!
I was drinking
and I'm
soda
sure
pop.
that's happened to a lot of people.
Oh, tons
by
of people.
accident.
I've heard this story plenty of times.
Oh my god!
I did it one other time when I was drinking, but that wasn't as bad because I was already drinking.
Yeah.
That was like college. This was like even before. This is probably freshman year high school or something. I took the biggest freaking swig out of it, and I chucked everywhere.
Oh my god! I cannot even imagine.
Just tobacco and spit. That's all it is.
Seriously, I'm gagging. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up.
I think that's better. Mine is better than both of your stories, though. Between you and her, your stories are worse than mine.
They're all pretty disgusting. That's all. I mean, gross. But again, I think everyone's gone through it. So
I hope you stuck through the science corner and stayed for the weird part.
I know.
Because we got weird at the end.
We got weird. It got weird, And again, we're kind of like in our space era, like we're both just like, especially with what's going on in the sky too. Can't even talk about that. I mean, who knows?
January 25th ish. I don't know if the date's going to change. You should be able to see 7 planets from your backyard.
Yeah, lots of space stuff.
January 25th. Get ready. It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited. Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Well, if you guys want to send in a weird secret, you can call in too.
SpeakPipe.
That's speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. What's something weird, that what's another random prompt I can throw out? What's like of course, like weird thing you've eaten, or what's like the weirdest thing you've put in your mouth? Or, what's like your weirdest theory, in the sky or about anything? What's your weirdest theory?
What theories do you have that you haven't talked to someone about? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, talk to us about it. Call us in, let us know. And of course, keep an eye out on the Instagrams. Keep an eye out if I survive this week. And make sure you come get tickets to see this show. We can't wait to see you guys. It's the best, literally the best night ever. It's so much fun. I literally cannot wait to see you guys. And hopefully we'll be going more places soon, see more of you guys soon. And hopefully, again, we're just loving on you guys as much as we can. Loving on you in 2025. Loving on you. Is that beautiful or what?
It's gorgeous.
Anything else you want to say to the people?
Love you, weirdlings.
We love you guys so much. Thank you so much again for listening to another episode of Weird and Proud. We'll see you next week. Love you so much. Bye.